the name of the game in 2023 is efficiency. Like, I have very little time at all. However, I get questions like all of the time, like, how's Carlene doing? What's the latest update? Like, what's going on? And I try my best to put things out on social media as much as possible, take videos and pictures and things, but also live and be present in the moment because I'm very much an active part of her care team. We're on day 75 of 100 days of isolation. So we have made it 75 days of isolation since the bone marrow transplant, which is an amazing feat within itself. And Carlene is recovering, and she is doing her best to recover, as well as possible. Let me get that update out first. She is still on a feeding tube. So she gets tube feedings as many hours a day as she'll allow me. It's really, I have to get a certain amount of nutrition, calories, protein, different things, fluid into her daily to make sure that she doesn't have to be on IV fluids or she's not, losing weight, like those types of things. So I stay on top of those calculations with her nutritionist. So she's on that. She also takes like certain medications daily, like she's on like an antifungal and like some other things because she's still building up her immune system. So her numbers were looking really good at her last appointment. Her white blood cell count is still low and below normal, but that's to be expected. Her ANC numbers are, her neutrophils are where they're supposed to be though. So they're happy about that. She's progressing well in that way. She does have some major deficits, unfortunately, and they're becoming more and more apparent as she's doing physical therapy and occupational therapy. We're at the clinic about 4 days a week between occupational therapy, physical therapy, and she sees a speech pathologist to learn how to swallow so she can eat solid foods again. So she'll hopefully get off the feeding tube, sometime before she goes to college. Like the nutrition people say, like, we hope she's not going to go to college with a feeding tube. So that is definitely our goal, to get her off of it before college. So all of those therapies were recently referred to the state of New York Department of Early Intervention to get some additional therapies going to address her deficits. One of the benefits of Carlene having stage 4 cancer at 2 years old is, she can recover, quickly. She's still growing. So the things that she's going through now, hopefully some of them she can grow out of or she can overcome them with therapy. That's really our goal right now. Recuperating, recovering, rehabilitation. Those are 3 R's. Recuperating, recovering, rehabilitation. That's really the name of the game right now for us. So it's a daily challenge. So she stays hooked up to these feeds. It's supposed to be 24 hours a day, but she won't stay hooked up to her machine. I don't know if you saw one of her posts on social media. She's literally running around, like she picks up the IV pole with the machine on it and like runs with it. Just not a good thing. So I syringe feed her sometimes, keep her on the IV pole sometimes. As long as she's getting the right amount of nutrition, I do a combination of both, but I end up mixing formula. She's on a formula feed, mixing that like every 4 hours or so, filling up the machine so she gets her proper nutrition a day. That's pretty much what our days are filled with. Going to therapy, mixing nutrition, trying to keep her occupied in a small apartment, and she's 2 years old. She's wreaking havoc. Man, she destroys this place every day. And we clean it up every day. So it's fun, good times. So on day 75, where we are right now, the immediate plans are to get her central lines removed. She still has the central lines in her chest because we're making sure that nothing else pops up, and that she doesn't have to have any further chemotherapy or other treatment. At this point, it doesn't look like it, but they've kept those in just in case. So we won't have to put her through another surgery and have them inserted again if they need to do something. So those are still in. We're going to talk about in about 2 weeks, removing those as long as everything still looks good. At the end of this month, she'll have a MRI to assess if there's any new tumor activity. Do they see anything going on that would warrant further treatment, or further evaluation? So we're in a holding pattern right now, but back to the genetic counseling. Talked to them today and was just amazed, because if Carlene was diagnosed in October of 2020. When she was 5 months old, she was officially diagnosed with retinoblastoma. So I did holistic treatment. I opted not to do, what they wanted to do at the time, and went with holistic treatment. She was on that. We could literally see the tumor dying. She had, that instance of orbital cellulitis from the tumor, the necrotic tumor cells, dying in her eye and giving her an eye infection that ended her up in Bustamante Children's Hospital in April of 2021, right after her big brother Aaron passed away. But then, when we came to Memorial Sloan Kettering for the first time, in June of 2021, there was no evidence detected. And I confirmed that with the genetic counselors today. I was like, okay, so am I crazy? Or was there no evidence of the tumor detected on MRI or anything with our evaluations? Did you not do genetic testing for retinoblastoma at that time and determined that there was no genetic markers for retinoblastoma present? Am I insane, or did that happen? And they're like, no, that absolutely happened. That's absolutely the way things happen. I'm like, okay, great. So they're like, we made the best decisions based on the information that we had at that time, to just take a wait and see approach. We didn't see the tumor on MRIs. It was not detected. There was no retinoblastoma markers in the genetic tests that they did at that time at all. But what the geneticist said today was, obviously, there were some microscopic cells that were still left in her eye that were able to, cause the relapse. This is where, I'm sort of kicking myself, honestly. I had her on, a combination of things for the holistic, treatment. One of them being, of course, medical cannabis. I definitely had her on medical cannabis, but you have to remember, when we had her on this holistic treatment, she wasn't even a year old yet. So we're giving her, medical cannabis. We're giving her aloe-imodin. We're giving her, different things, moringa, sea moss, just different things nutritionally and herbally to get this tumor eradicated. And we were successful in doing that. What I should have done was continue to be aggressive in our treatment. Getting that no evidence detected and, the genetic markers being negative, I felt like, yeah, we can ease off a bit. I don't want my baby, literally infant, on medical cannabis all day, every day. I'm a proponent of it. Absolutely. You know me, that's what I do. That's what I advocate for. But when it's necessary, and especially when you're talking about an infant going down this regimen, this road, they need to have a certain level of supplementation. Yes, you can change the dose and you can play around with it, but it's something that I should have kept up on. And I'm sort of, really upset with myself that I didn't, but that's neither here nor there. She had a relapse because those cells were still there. And in March of 2022, we started to see the relapse, which led us here in May, for her to have the tumor behind her left eye that grew at a crazy rate. Like, it came back with a vengeance, because within 30 days, it was 30 days time, that if you see the pictures on social media where, her eye is literally protruding, out, I mean, not to be graphic, but yeah, anyways, that was less than 30 days from the time that we noticed something was going on to it getting to that level, to me saying, I need to get her back to MSK like immediately. The doctors and things like, this stuff is not working in Jamaica. Cuba is not responding fast enough. I just need to get her to where I know she can go and they'll take care of her. Which also makes me understand, after our conversation with the genetic counselor today, why the bone marrow transplant was so important to them. They consider this a relapse, like absolutely positively. She was no evidence detected, considered, remission. And this is absolutely considered a relapse, which is why they're so aggressive in their treatment. It all makes, a lot of sense now. So that part I got answered, and I was happy about that. It's the next part that was just, according to their genetic tests, this is not, it's not genetic. And she didn't get this because she has a genetic predisposition for it. Let's put it like that. She doesn't have a genetic predisposition for retinoblastoma, but they're going to check her. Our next level of genetic testing is going to be for other cancers and things like that, because they're truly stumped right now with like what's going on, with Carlene and sort of how we got here. It was just a spontaneous event. A spontaneous event. Like, you're going to tell me that I've already gone through cancer with my firstborn daughter, and now I'm going through it 20 years later with Carlene, and it's just a spontaneous event? Like, there's no reason for it? Lovely, because that's, just life and how things happen, or my journey, maybe, I don't know. I've learned a lot in 20 years. I've been able to really help Carlene, be an active part of her care team. At MSK, we definitely do a little bit of what they do and a little bit of what I do, It's a combination of both. I love MSK because they honestly, respect me as a professional. We make decisions together on Carlene's care and what should happen with her, which was definitely not the case with Kiana. Like, not at all. It was like, you do what we say, or we're calling CPS and we're taking away your parental rights. This is not that, not at all. It's, well, what do you think we should do? Here's the information, here's the evidence. And I say, okay, great, here's my information and here's my evidence. Okay, let's come up with, a comprehensive plan on what we should do next. And I feel very confident and comfortable with the fact that everything that's been done so far for Carlene and everything that we continue to do is going to absolutely and positively save her life. She has severe deficits, definitely. We're doing physical therapy and occupational therapy. She is exhausted daily. She can barely get through physical therapy and occupational therapy without just, tapping out, because she has a lot of rebuilding to do. She got braces today and new shoes today, braces on her feet. I'm going to post some videos and things like that on her social media pages regarding that later. But to help her with her gait, to help her with her walk, to help build strength back in her legs and calves and things like that, so she can walk properly. She has deficits. The effects of the chemotherapy and the treatment and, being in the hospital as much as she has definitely made her weak, but she's doing, amazing overall. I'm super proud of her. I can't believe that this was really just confirmed today, that it's just a spontaneous event. But what I am thankful for is knowing that we have 100% done everything that we can for Carlene and made the best decisions with the information that's been presented to us every step of the way. And I really thank everyone for all of their support, all of the donations, all of the cards, all of the gifts, all of the everything that's really helped support our family and to support Carlene, during this trial. It's been crazy living in New York for almost a year. Where'd that come from? Never thought I would be here. Don't love it. I mean, don't get me, I'm not hating on New York, but it's not my vibe. New York City, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. This is the concrete jungle for sure, but I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful for all the support that we've got, to help us stay here, because that's been a tremendous relief to be able to provide for Carlene and not have to worry about some things, because the worry has been, taken care of. It's been a real godsend, all of you, all of your support. So thank you so much for that. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to leave. Carlene's on this feeding tube. She gets formula from a medical supply company. So we have formula we order delivered from a medical supply company, that she's on this 24-hour nutrition. That's definitely something we're not going to be able to access and have. So she'll definitely have to be off the feeding tube. Like I said, she's going to physical therapy, occupational therapy, a speech pathologist, at least 4 times a week. We're at the clinic to rebuild her. So until she's done with all of that, we can't go back home. They're going to do MRIs. That's the other thing. Every 3 months, and be kind of aggressive with that schedule, because they said if she were to have a relapse, it would come back in her brain. That is the only place that they feel like at this point, because of the stem cell transplant and all of that's been done, the chemotherapy, everything that's been done, that the only place that it could relapse would be her brain. So she's going to get MRIs every 3 months for the next year to make sure that they feel confident that a relapse is not, imminent. So for the first year, MRIs every 3 months. And then after that, the next year it'll go every 6 months. And then if she's clear, it can just go every year after that. They'll keep up with her to make sure until she reaches that 5-year mark. The 5-year mark is, really the, successful, we've lasted 5 years. That's really their measure of success is, about 5 years. So, still not going home. And that's been a hard pill to swallow. I'm sad and still having to be here, but we'll figure it out. We're taking it in stride. The most important thing is Carlene's alive. Carlene is alive. And that's the gift. That's the real gift. That's the gift that keeps on giving.